I'm back for Dustius's ongoing coverage of IEM Cologne 2023. I'm here with Castle, coach of Astralis, coming off of an absolutely dominant win today. So I wanted to ask you first, and how the match was an absolute, race. How did you guys maintain such a high momentum throughout the entire match?
I think actually we got a pretty bad start on Vertigo. I took a quick timeout just to remind the guys how we want to play and how we want to communicate and be as a team. And as soon as they heard that, I think it just clicked from there.
Mm-hmm. And with that in mind, I wanted to touch on a certain thing they said on a desk while they were interviewing Borup. They described Borup's return to activity on Astralis as sort of a renaissance for the player. You've only been working with Borup for a short time now, but it seems like he's really come into his own on this team already. What do you think about Borup's sort of return to top tier play with Astralis?
Actually, I think he's pretty undervalued. He's a really good player. Brings in a lot of energy, good talking, a lot of headshot, really sharp in the direct duels. So, yeah, of course, we think it's a pretty good pickup. So.
And I have to say, in some ways, it seemed almost like a stealth pickup in the sense that, he played for Heroic, and when he left for Heroic, he kind of was out in the wilderness for a while. He played for Copenhagen Flames, and then he was with the, ex-Copenhagen Flames when they were when Copenhagen Flames shut their doors. Do you think he was overlooked in the scene? Do you think maybe it was almost like a steal for Astralis to be able to lock down him?
Yeah, actually, I think so. He played stand-in for my old team, Masonic, and I know BlameF also have played with him in Heroic, so both me and BlameF knows him a little bit and know what kind of player he is, and he just fit the role perfect.
Mm-hmm. And so, with that in mind, obviously, BlameF has taken over as IGL once Glaive left in the offseason. Is Borup someone he immediately clicked with, considering the fact that, he played with him, I believe, on Heroic previously?
Yeah, it's just clicked. We're trying to make the perfect fit for the roles this time. Just 100% going for perfect match and roles, and also a little bit about the personality, and he's a super fit there also.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of other changes that happened to Astralis recently, Wienecke was recently promoted from the academy side up to the main team to act as your assistant coach. It seems like Astralis has a sort of habit or a trend of promoting assistant coaches. So I wanted to, was that your decision to bring him into the fold, or how did Wienecke find his way into the main Astralis squad?
Yeah, that's on me. I've played with Wienecke myself and taught him most of the thing he knows, and I got him the chance on the talent team, which he did really, really well. So, of course, I wanted him on the first team as soon as possible. So, yeah, that's on me.
And, I feel like he's not a name that's super well known, especially outside of the Danish scene. I was wondering if you could just sort of tell us a bit about him as like a coach, his personality, his leadership style. Teach us about Wienecke.
Yeah, he's not that well known in the Danish international scene. In the Danish scene, he's come up actually in the first Astralis talent team, and as an IGL. So of course he knows a lot about the game, but as a person he's a little bit more quiet, you can say, really well thought and to do strategic things, and he's just a good brain and a nice person. He also cares a lot about the atmosphere in the team and stuff like that.
So, of course, recently we also have to mention the fact that, HUNDEN left the organization, and it sort of coincided with Wienecke coming up about the same time. So is he sort of filling that role in the team that HUNDEN had? Is there a direct one-to-one sort of job change between the two of them?
I think it's not 100% the same as with HUNDEN. We were more like two coaches. Now we are more like a coach and an assistant coach, but me and Wienecke work together extremely well, so it's a perfect match.
I also wanted to ask you about, obviously Astralis is kind of one of the most legendary brands in the Danish scene and arguably, the international scene for all the majors they won with the original core. But since sort of the core went to Vitality in a way, they've sort of been chasing that high of the original Astralis. Do you think this lineup has the pieces necessary to sort of become the best team in Denmark and overtake Heroic?
I think it's too early to say. We are a brand new team trying to make a grind team with perfect roles and trying to build a a new system, so it's too early to say that. But of course, I hope so.
I also wanted to, you still have 2 best of 3s before you could potentially make it to the Lanxess Arena. But with that in mind, even though you're the coach of Astralis, you are still relatively recently attuned to the Tier 1 scene. So as sort of a individual, would it validate you to finally be able to make a big LAN final, a big LAN playoffs?
Yeah, of course, I hope to do that. But we did go through in Dallas, and that was the first time, but this is long term, so I'm pretty sure there's gonna be playoffs. Maybe not this time, but later on there will be.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like, then it's sort of a weird situation almost, because we expect in sort of teams for the coach to be the more experienced. Zanik was a pro player before joining Astralis. Robin was a pro player before joining FaZe. Sort of like that, where the experienced pro becomes the coach. But for you, it's kind of a different road. Do you ever get nervous and sort of like Device and Blame have to sort of like, be like, hey man, hey man, it's okay, like we're gonna do this together? Or are you cool as a cucumber in the big matches?
I think it's worked pretty well. I know what I can, and I've also played for pretty long, not the high level, but I've had played pretty long time. So, and both Blame F and Device, same as Clave and Sup, they're pretty cool. So, yeah, they're not like that. You can say whatever you want. So
Mr. Cool as a cucumber, Castle Cool as a cucumber.
You can say that.
All right, thank you so much for your time, and we'll see you guys in action tomorrow. Yep, thank you.